Welcome back to the Awesome Agents podcast. So Cognition, the company behind Devin, just bought a texting app.
Yeah, Poke. And this one is a fun story because it isn't really about technology at all.
Okay, so break it down for me. Cognition is worth $26 billion. Poke was valued at $300 million back in April. Why does the giant want the small one?
Because Poke figured out something Devin hasn't, which is how to feel like a person you're texting rather than a tool you're operating.
Right, Poke is that assistant that messages you first over iMessage, follows up without being asked, handles your email and scheduling like a friend would.
Exactly. And Cognition's own announcement basically says that out loud. They called it a personal agent that feels less like software and more like a friend.
TechCrunch says the price was in the low nine figures. Neither company gave an exact number.
Which is honestly wild when you think about the timeline. Poke raised a $15 million seed last September at a $100 million valuation, then $10 million more in April at $300 million. Now it sells for what could be roughly that same number 8 months later.
So the founders basically flipped the company inside of a year.
Marvin von Hogen and Felix Schlegel, yeah. And the detail I find most interesting is this. Cognition's co-founders Scott Wu and Walden Yan were already angel investors in Poke before any of this started.
Wait, so they were funding the company they later bought?
Correct. Which doesn't make the deal shady, it just means they had a front row seat to Poke's product long before the acquisition talks began.
Okay, step back for a second, because this isn't Cognition's first shopping trip. They bought Windsurf last July too, right?
Right after Google poached Windsurf CEO and CTO in that $2.4 billion reverse acqui-hire, Cognition moved in within 72 hours and picked up what was left, the product, the brand, about $82 million in ARR for around $250 million.
So this is now a pattern, twice in 12 months by the team instead of competing with them.
And it is working on the revenue side. Cognition says combined enterprise revenue jumped more than 30% after the Windsurf deal closed. Their overall revenue grew 13 times in a year to about $492 million annualized.
Numbers like that explain how you write a nine-figure check without blinking.
Devin is apparently writing 89% of Cognition's own code at this point too, and it's running in production at Citi, Goldman Sachs, Mercedes-Benz, even the US Army.
So this is what I keep coming back to. Poke exchanged over 100 million messages in 3 months, but by the founder's own account, it was expensive to run and not profitable.
That's the part that makes this deal make sense on both sides. Poke gets Cognition's infrastructure and model access, which should bring the operating costs down. Cognition gets a confirmed design pattern for agents that message you first, instead of waiting around for a task.
But there's a real risk here for the 10 or so people on Poke's team. Their audience was consumers who wanted a friendly texting buddy. Cognition's customers are banks and the military.
That mismatch is the whole story to watch. Plenty of consumer apps get folded into a bigger company's roadmap and quietly lose the exact quality that made people love them in the first place.
And it isn't just Poke's users who are affected. Cognition name-checked Character.ai and the persona projects at Meta, OpenAI, and Google as the competition this space matters against.
Which means one more independent path to scale in that category just closed. If you are building a personality-first AI startup, there are fewer places left to go public or grow alone.
So what tells us this actually worked, versus just being an expensive acqui-hire?
Whether Devin starts sounding like Poke, if Cognition's coding agent gets warmer, more proactive, checks in on you without being asked, that's the acquisition paying off. If Poke just quietly disappears into Devin's backend with none of its personality intact, that's the signal it didn't.
I guess we'll find out at the next earnings update. That is our show for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.